What's up, YouTube? It's your girl AK, and today I'm gonna be breaking down a trade that I took a few weeks ago on USDJPY. However, I'm not gonna focus too much on the trade itself, but mostly the way I entered. So if you paid attention, you've noticed that lately I've been using pending orders for my entry, right? And I want to show you the perfect entry model of how I get my confirmation to place my pending order and how I know when it's the right time to place a pending order, because it saves me so much time and I don't have to, wait on a trade, wait on price action to do such and such. Like, I get my confirmation, I set it, and I go live my day. So without further ado, I'm gonna show you my entry model, how I use pending orders, and how it saved me so much time. So let's get into it. Hey. All right, y'all, so I'm about to break down this USDJPY sale. I did take this a few weeks ago, and I just want to show you my entry model because it's been a while since I really showed y'all a trade breakdown. So let's just get into it, right? So again, as you can see, we did have this sale. Could have caught so much more, right? I'm gonna actually rewind price back a little bit just so we can kind of focus on what's happening right now. But as you can see, everything starts with the higher time frame. So let's look at the higher time frame. So during this trade, I was actually kind of just watching 1 hour structure around the psychological level, because I understand price tends to reverse around psychological levels. So I was watching 1 hour structure, and again, you can see at one point we were making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, right? We're building, making structure, right? And then you notice right here, price gets to a point where we have that higher high, right? We come down, we fail to make a new high, right? And then what happens right here? We break structure. So if you pay attention, if you look really closely, you can see that this was the past 1 hour swing low, this was the 1 hour swing high, and price came down and we closed below. So we broke this swing low. So right here, we can mark that this is our break of structure. So I'm gonna mark it right here as a break of structure. Okay, so we got our break of structure, right? But y'all understand that when price breaks structure, we can't enter on the break, right? We have to wait for that pullback, that retracement, also on the high time frame, right? So going back to the chart, I'm gonna actually rewind this a bit more to before we retrace, right? Right here, we see that price was starting to show signs of retracing, right? We have this doji and we start seeing some bullish candles come up. So really what I'm looking for price to come back to my area interest. There's this internal structure that was broken. I want to see price basically come back and fill these gaps that was left on this drop, right? Grab this liquidity and then look to head back to the downside. So my targets here was liquidity was my first target, and the 27 extension was my full target, right? So as you can see, we want to wait till price gets into this area, right? We want price to kind of get into our golden zone. So I set alerts on my 50 and my 61, as well as my 38 and my 1 hour area interest. So there was alerts everywhere in this zone basically, and I just waited for price to retrace. So as price retraces, I actually want to drop down to the lower time frame just to get a better idea of like what's happening. So we drop to a lower time frame and we see we have 15-minute structure, right? Okay, so we understand that higher time frame, the 1 hour, is bearish, but right now our lower time frame is doing what? Well, we are making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, right? Potential higher low. However, we understand that this should be a temporary thing, because why? Because if my higher time frame is bearish and my lower time frame is bullish, I know that my higher time frame holds more weight, and I want to go with the higher time frame. So I just want to wait for what? You want to wait for, price to switch back to being bearish. It's the same thing I tell y'all every single week. Nothing has changed, right? Okay, so where does this pending order entry come into play? So glad you asked. I want y'all to check this out real quick, right? So while I was waiting for a price to get to my area interest, I understand a few things about market structure, right? I understand that when you're looking at market structure, price can only go two ways, right? Price can only go up, right? And price can only go down, right? Okay, so if I am currently on an uptrend, just stay with me for a second, right? If I am currently on an uptrend and we're making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, right? And I understand that this is temporary and we're looking for the bigger move. I need to wait for what? I need to wait for price to shift structure, right? So I need to wait for price to break support, right? So there will be support right here. This will be a support level, right? These are all support levels, right? But this is the most relevant one because we made this high. Okay. Now, a lot of people have this misconception, right? People tend to like enter on the break. Y'all know that I don't enter just on the break. I wait for what? I wait for the pullback. I wait for the retest, right? I want to wait for price to show me that I do not want to go any higher than this previous high, right? Before heading back down. Now, this is pretty much my entry model. Y'all understand that. Y'all know that I wait for price to give me the retest and I wait for price to break back below. Okay. So where does the pending order come into play? Well, think about it, guys. If we've already broken structure, right? If prices already came and we've had a breakup structure made right here. So price has came and broke structure right here, right? That was the first, you know, change of character. And then we see that price pulled back, right? If price decided to come back and make a lower low, what is this? We are now in a downtrend. Why? Because we are now making lower lows and lower highs, and we just made a new lower low. That is an established downtrend, right? So I feel completely comfortable placing a sell stop order right here. Why? Because I understand that if price breaks this level, if price decides to break this low, we are for sure in the downtrend, right? And I understand that these highs should not be broken. So I feel very comfortable putting my stop loss above these highs because I believe if we're in a downtrend, this high should not be broken, right? And then I can target, you know, the bigger move to the downside. That is the exact same thing we're looking for right here, but with the candles, right? So we're watching 15-minute structure and we're waiting for that same thing to happen. So right here, just watching structure, you see that this is our swing low. This is our current swing high. Okay, so let's mark this out. So this is the swing low. Make this a different color. Balance. Okay, and this is the swing high. Okay, so let's see if price breaks above this resistance or breaks below this support. We're just gonna kind of watch price within this box because we've already tapped, or if you look really closely, right, we've already tapped this 1 hour area interest, which is good, right? So since we already got into our zone, we're just waiting for that shift of structure to the downside on the 15 minutes. So we're gonna watch structure and see what price does, and we're gonna pay very close attention to these candle bodies, right? And I'm gonna hide this for a second so we can really focus. So let's check this out. Okay, y'all, so I am looking at price, right? We want to see how price reacts within this range, right? This is a swing low, this is a swing high. If I switch to my line chart, you can see that, you know, we're looking to see price break below. So right here, I noticed that price does close below. If you look at the 15, this candle does close below this low, right? Okay, there's a like slight break of structure, right? So I'm watching to see if after this slight break, if price wants to break above, right? It's pushing up, but I don't see price breaking above. But since we already got that slight break, right, I feel very comfortable placing a limit order underneath this level, right? Because I understand that price comes back below this level, right? If price came down, we broke this low, right? Price fails to make a high, right? If that fails to make a high and it comes back below, I know for sure we're selling, right? We're already at the area interest, right? We already got our breaker structure. That's my entry model, right? Okay, so it was around this point where I actually placed a sell limit, right? And I believe I had a alert above this level just in case price did break structure. Because think about it, guys. If price decides to what? Retrace down, if it breaks above, then I would just never get triggered in, right? Price would just go its own way. So right here, I'm just waiting for price to tap me in the trade, right? We see that price does not want to go any higher, and looking like we're breaking back below, and we do, right? Slight drawdown, but immediately like straight into profit, right? Okay, and yeah, basically I just set my pending order and I just wait for price to just tap me in and let me in the trade. I don't have to wait for the perfect like, oh, let me execute right here. Like, no, I just place my limit order, let it do its thing. And as you can see, price went for a nice RR, I'm not gonna lie. I think we were targeting a 124, yeah. And what did price do? Yeah, price like tanked. price definitely tanked to the downside. I could have held for way more. In fact, I was also marking out this area, but I decided to just, you know, aim for the 1-4. Got the 1-4, got the trade, right? But this is still a really good solid trade, as you can see. Just to recap again, right? Price, we're in the uptrend, right? Price failed to make this new high, and then we broke structure, right? We waited for the retest on the higher time frame. We scaled in to a lower time frame. So this was my 15-minute. Just recapping everything, right? We understood this was the low, right? We saw that price was breaking below this low, failing to make a high, right? Breaking again, right? We triggered our sell stop order. Stop loss was above this anticipated high, and as you can see, price tanked from there. So yeah, that is pretty much all I did. It's pretty much all I did, guys. And yeah, we caught the 1-4. So there's that. I showed y'all how I use pending orders, and y'all might be saying, oh no, well, that was just like the 1 hour 15-minute time frame. That's not a very long time to wait. That's very true, but also keep in mind that usually I am trading the daily and 4 hour time frame, right? So on another example of me using the daily and 4 hours, who wants to wait multiple 4 hour candles for an entry, right? Rather just having a pending order just waiting for you, right? So that's kind of where I just wanted to kind of give that context of like, hey, even though that was a 1 hour 15-minute example, right, it works even better like on a higher time frame because you're saving yourself more time. And that's why I love pending orders, because for me, it takes the idea of like entering, the fear of entering out of my mind. I don't have to worry about being the one to execute it and see it execute. It just enters without me, and later I just go back, check it, and either I'm in profit or I'm in drawdown, right? And I just let the trade do its thing. And for me, that makes trading a lot more hands-free, makes it feel a lot more passive, and I don't have to actively wait for a entry, because honestly, the thing that takes the longest for my strategy is just waiting for entries, like just waiting for that perfect entry, right? But when I eliminate that completely with pending orders, it feels completely passive, and I love that. But yeah, that is it for this video. If you liked it, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe if you're new, and if you want to see more breakdown videos like this, kind of explaining my entry a bit more, because I know y'all love entries, right? Y'all just let me know what was your favorite part about the video, what you learned. And yeah, until next time, y'all, bye.